Episode 10. Nobody deserves to be alone. Turn your back on me. Please cast me into the sea. Watch those spades and drift across those waves. Look at the sky. I'm still here. But if I ever fell, would anyone even hear? The traveler was monochrome. He had a white body, messy hair, black eyes, black clothes, and a big white cloak. The man devoid of color roamed from town to town, city to city, and coast to coast. He was aimless. He had no agency, no dreams, no goals, no impact. If he had never existed, Wonderland would be exactly the same. And that's how it was. It's surprising that such a thing was considered a gift. Most would call it a curse. People could see the traveler, talk to the traveler, touch the traveler. They could become best friends, but the second they turned away from them, all memory of their existence was wiped from their minds. The traveler was like a ghost, coming and going like they were never there. They were isolated in their existence, no friends, no one to care for them, nothing that mattered for too long anyway. Even if they grew fond of someone, it was too painful to rebuild this connection. Every time they saw one another again. That's why they never stayed somewhere too long. There was no point in getting comfortable. You would think that they would want to be rid of a gift like that. But one day, that chance arrived. They encountered a scientist, and they offered a vial of green liquid. Once consumed, their gift would be gone forever. They could live a normal life. The traveler sat for a while, but they ended up tossing the vial into a pit and kept on walking. Perhaps the pain was worth it for the traveler. If they didn't leave a lasting impact, they couldn't make any mistakes. They couldn't hurt anyone. They could live a life of complete dissociation. Perhaps, in their own world, they made a lot of mistakes and decided this way was better. Or maybe they were always a hermit. One day, they came across Las Vegas, one of the continent's most notable cities. It was a bright city, one known for its gambling and knowledge. The traveler was quite fond of this city, mostly for the grand library that stood in it. The library was open all the time, and at late hours his only company was the head librarian. The librarian had the appearance of an avian-like creature, but stood and sat around like a doll, and it never needed to sleep, only went inanimated at times. Proper inns were troublesome for the traveler. They would often be thrown out due to the owner not remembering them. No way to pay rent when you're forgotten. They liked the library better anyway. They would pick up a book, read it, and eventually fall asleep on one of the many couches scattered around. Books were one of the traveler's few comforts. He was able to attach his heart to the characters and tales without risk being harmed. The characters never acknowledged him, so they could never forget him. They could never break his heart. The librarian was decent company, occasionally passing by the traveler and lighting up conversation. They never kicked the traveler out either. It was a comfortable arrangement for both of them. It stood out in the traveler's mind how the librarian was always kind, welcoming, always accommodating, even if it was a first meeting every single time. They even learned the librarian's name, Quilton. For the first time in a while, the traveler started to get very comfortable staying in one place. However, they made a habit of staring out the window where a path leading outside the city and into the greater desert lay. A path to nowhere. He knew one day he would take that path. One morning, the traveler was snapped awake by loud noises outside. They hurried to the window to see some army of invaders. There were giant monsters in heavy armor ripping through the city's security and causing a lot of mayhem. This sort of thing was common, a new empire from a dying world coming to Wonderland trying to seize power everywhere they go. The traveler looked down to see one of those orcs burst into the library, quickly lunging at the librarian who was at the desk. Quilton struggled in the invader's grasp, their arms pinned down. The traveler knew Quilton had a powerful gift, able to use the power of books, but he saw how they needed emotion to use them, and that they were helpless at the moment. The Traveler didn't fight often. They didn't have any amazing combat ability. However, they always carried a knife, and their gift did give them one great advantage. They leapt down to the counter from the floor above, landing gracefully. The orc's gaze instantly shifted to them before the Traveler slashed their arm with a dagger. The orc went to strike back, only for the Traveler to swiftly leap out of their eyesight, rolling across the ground. With the monster forgetting their existence, they became a bit dazed, letting the Traveler get in a couple more slashes into their exposed legs. It began to thrash around, confused, but the Traveler was able to climb up them and allow Quilton to escape. The Traveler slowly looked, locking eyes with the librarian in front of them. Quilton stared in disbelief, having seen the full display from where they were. They gratefully thanked the Traveler, all the gratitude lightly overwhelming them. The Traveler went to rest a palm on their cheek, only to realize they had gotten the orc's blood on their face, it being the only color on their monochrome form. Quilton was already on it, having grabbed a handkerchief and cleaning their face with it. The touch caught the Traveler off guard, it being a sensation they hadn't felt in what seemed like an eternity. They shut their eyes and leaned into Quilton's hand like a cat. They had heard Quilton chuckle, cleaning up the blood. The Traveler eventually opened their eyes and stared. They didn't even realize they were smiling for so long. Quilton quickly brushed the corpse aside, offering to extend their gratitude to the Traveler with a session of tea. The Traveler was so ready to accept, but they hesitated. This is how it starts. The connection, the longing, the clinging, wanting to stay like this. Forever. The Traveler shook their head. They told Quilton they were going to leave, to wander the path to nowhere. They told Quilton they needed to be alone. Quilton only shook their head and smiled. Nobody deserves to be alone. The Traveler woke up in a forest. It was another spot they found comfort in. They looked up to see a small figure looming over them. They resembled a Raggedy Ann doll, red hair, a tan texture. The only thing was that she had eyes. Human eyes, like they were taken out and placed into her with care. Despite this, she had a friendly demeanor. She smiled.
Hi!
Hello.
What you doing on the ground?
Her head tilted. Napping, dreaming, drifting away. The doll giggled.
I'm Dala. What's your name?
I'm nobody. Wormhole Wonderland was created and produced by Win Oates, with music by Dummis and Caleb Mazzota. Visit our website down below by Webmaster Callum, and visit our Discord. Hey guys, it's Win. It's Win Oates, the mostly writer, director, creator of Wormhole Wonderland. It's been really great making season 1 with everyone who's been really supportive, with both of the people who make the music, with Callum, my friend who makes the website, with everyone, including the guest stars for today. Those being the writer, the guest writer, Jack, and the guest voice actor, Muddy Maka. As well, I'd like to shout out a podcast creator who's been really supportive to me, that being the creator of Archives of the Future That Was. I might get a shout out there soon if I choose to reach out again. So it'll be really special. And I wanted to make sure to shout out that creator before this season is over. I don't really have anything else to say, other than there will be a season 2. It might take multiple years, though. I'm working on an actual script for that, too, so it should be kind of different. Submit any stories you want to as well at www.wormhole.neocities.org. I'll see you guys when I see you. Thank you so much for listening to Wormhole Wonderland.